Hello there good people, it's your boy Johny-J and welcome to another epic photo adventure. In this one I head out to a local sand dune system and show you how I focus stack my landscapes the easy way. Well, hello and welcome to my local sand dune system in the Warramai Conservation Lands, and what's drawn me here today is you can hear it now, it's still blowing. The wind has been howling for a couple of days and that means we're getting all these interesting shakes forming across the sand dunes. And with some imminent cloud blowing in, sunset about an hour away, I'm like, okay, it's a good time to get up here. Mind you, it's freezing cold up here on the dunes. The wind's just blowing through me. I think I'm going to be doing up my jacket pretty soon. But look, everything's looking good. Now it's a matter of me walking around, finding something I want to put in my foreground. I've already decided I'm going to be shooting 90 degrees away from the sun, just in case we get a chance it comes out. I love side lit sand dunes. I love seeing those textures, absolutely amazing. And we've got some brilliant sky out this way as well with nice high clouds, getting some nice color right now actually. So let me go and find something to put in the foreground, and I'll talk to you a bit more while I'm up here because it's such a beautiful spot. I just absolutely love being here. The idea here is I found a nice bit of foreground. We've got some beautiful light coming through right now. I better take a shot, I think, really fast. The idea here is to find something that you like, leave your camera off your tripod and just have a look at it. You know, just go up, down, try portrait, try landscape, moving left and right until you think you've found something that's pleasing. I really like what I'm seeing here. Got some nice leading lines. I think I'm gonna get a shot, quick shot here, particularly while that light's out. I'm loving what the light is doing down there. We're all set up here. I did take a shot earlier, but that sun is about to pop out again, so we're going to get some nice side light across the scene. In fact, we're getting some nice light right now. It's not real harsh, it's been softened by a cloud, but it's really giving me a nice defined line between this beautiful texture that's out here in front of me and the rest of the dune system here. So let me jump over the back of the camera here and I'll show you what we're looking at. And you can see we've got these beautiful leading lines here in the foreground. We've got this nice little mound here. We've got a beautiful cloud system that's catching some beautiful blue light out right now. I'm loving the color tones between the warm sand and that blue sky. It's looking amazing right now. It's and the sun's going to come out again in a minute. I'm so happy about this. Now you'll see I'm really close to my foreground here, so the lens is probably less than 2 foot away from that initial bit of texture down here you can see in the foreground. So I'm going to have to focus stack this, there's no doubt about it. So I'll have to get a couple of shots in close, then a couple out wider, but it's looking really good. Camera settings wise at the moment, I'm on f14, ISO 100, I'm at about 1.6. Let's have a look here. We can probably push up to a little bit more, maybe even, let's try a 5th right now, even a 4th. But you'll see my histogram and it's pushing up to the top at the moment, which is usually the right-hand side. I love pushing my scenes up as far as I can without clipping them. I've got to watch when that sun comes out now. It's starting to come out, so I may have to drop back a little bit. But what you want to do is you want to expose to the right-hand side as far as you can without clipping those highlights. That's really important. And what that's doing, it's giving you the most potential amount of data in that raw file possible. You know, between that luminosity range, between the midtones and the highlights, you get more data in your raw files, more things you can push to with post-processing. And particularly with a scene like this that isn't very contrasty, I will be pushing the file pretty hard. So I want as much data in that raw file as possible for my post-processing. All right, so let's have a look here at the moment. The sun is coming out, so let me drop that shutter speed down now. About a fourth, that's looking pretty good. So I think we're not going to get any clipping there. So I'm just, you can see I've got a single spot focus there. I'm going to move it down into that foreground, get a shot right there, 2-second timer, hands away. And then I'm going to move that focus point up to around the mids here, which will probably, honestly, I'll probably get away with 2 shots with the focus stacking, but you just never know. You want to take the extra, and then I'll take 1 for the backs as well. And then as always, we want to play those back. Let's have a look here. Just going to see if there's any blinkies. Nah, perfect. I love that exposure. That's the other beautiful thing about exposing, you know, 90 degrees away from the sun. We're not dealing with that high dynamic range. It makes your photography so much easier. Makes less work in post-production, and we're not dealing with that really high dynamic range. So let's just have a look here. Here's our file here. So let's zoom in on the back here and have a bit of a look. So this one is the one that's focused for the back. And that's all looking nice and sharp there. And this one will be the center focus. This one here will be our center focus. Let's zoom in on that. Looking good. Yeah, you can see that's all focused there in the mid-ground. And this next one back here should be our foreground focus. So let's have a look here. This one should be our foreground now. Zoom in there. Looking pretty good. Yeah, nice and sharp. Loving that. Perfect. So that's looking really, really good. I'm really, really happy how that's turned out now. We're starting to get that beautiful soft light creeping in. It's looking amazing, actually. Looking really, really loving it. So I'm going to get a few more shots here. And basically, all I need to do now, as the light's changing there with the setting sun, we're starting to get some beautiful extra warm highlights out there on those clouds as well. Just adjusting that shutter speed, taking those sort of 3 shots with moving that focus point from the foreground, the midground to the background, and that's it. We'll have this one in the bag. I'm really, really stoked. Wow, wow, wow. How cool was that? We got that, just got set up. We got that last spray of light, soft light across the scene. We put the shot in the bag, and the sun's dropped down over there behind me now, and I don't think we're gonna get anything else for sunset today, so that's gonna be all she wrote. But funny enough, we've got this clouds moving in from the north over here behind me. And I'm a little bit worried. There's a big storm coming in. I've got a little bit of a trek to get back, and I think I'm gonna hightail it home. It looks pretty wild, eh? It looks like a big storm cell moving in, so a little bit worried about that. Well, worried as in, I just want to get in out of the weather. It's cold enough, never alone getting wet as well, so probably that's the most of my worry. But look, beautiful spot up here, absolutely jagged the light. It was so beautiful across the scene. We've got these lovely patterns here in the foreground, and I just love the sand dunes after we get that strong wind blowing. It's just absolutely amazing. All right, let's jump back in on the computer and I'll show you how I put this one together. All right, good people, here we are back in the Lightrooms, and it turns out I only needed 2 images to stack these. So you'll see here's the first image here, and this one is our foreground. You can see nice and sharp in there. Just get back out to 100. You can see nice and sharp, but as we get to the back, nice and soft. And you see the sharpness runs all the way through to this sort of mid-ground area. So here's our other one. This is probably a mid-ground shot, I'd say, and it's sharp from the mid-ground all the way to the back. So really, really easy peasy to sort those ones out. Now, all you want to do is go into the first image, and you want to just do your initial edits like I've done here. You can see I've just opened up the shadows, changed the white balance. A couple of things that I like to do is turn on the remove chromatic aberration. If you don't know what that is, let me know in the comments, and that's maybe something I can do another video on, but I just check mark that. And for this one, I actually enabled the lens profile. If I turn that off and on, you can see the heavy vignetting and also some of the distortion that I had. I felt like I liked it with the vignetting removed because it's a soft type of image there. So I just felt like the soft and less contrasty and give me a bit more image to play with in post. And here's our final image that we got to in Photoshop. So then once we've done this first one, we highlight the first and the second image. So that's our foreground sharpness and our midground to background sharpness. And then we hit just sync here and we hit synchronize. We want to make sure everything's checked there. And then once that's done, it's sync the settings across those 2 images. So I'm going to right click there. I'm going to go edit in and open as layers in Photoshop. All right, so we're good to go here in Photoshop. I tend to like having my, it doesn't really matter which way you have this, okay? But I tend to like having my foreground one down the bottom, okay? It just means, for me, it's just the way my brain works. It means the bottom layer has got sharpness at the bottom, and the top layer is the midground and background layer. But it doesn't really matter, to be honest. We can do it either way, it makes no difference. So there's two ways we can blend from here. We can use layers and masks, which is what I'll probably do with this image, to be honest. But you can also, if you've got a more complex blend, and what I mean by a more complex focus stack to blend together is that, say you have a subject sticking up and it goes up into the scene across maybe the different sections of focusing through your image, then you may want to use this method. So the first thing I do for both of these anyway is I always go up here to image and I'll go auto align layers, and you'll get up this panel and I just use auto. And the reason why you want to do this every time is because every time you take a different focus point in your image, your lens is going to do something called focus breathing, and you'll notice it if you're ever out in the field and you focus close on something, and same scene on a tripod and you focus out the back, you'll see it's like your lens slightly zooms, okay? And that's because that's a thing called focus breathing. All lenses suffer from it a little bit differently. It just depends, you know, how much focus breathing you're going to get out of your lens. But when you've got a wide angle lens, you'll see it happen. So you want to auto align the layers no matter what you do, okay? So that's the first thing, and you can see here on this one, it's cropped in a little bit on that left-hand side, and you can see that's because of that focus breathing. So the good thing to do is zoom into something with a bit of detail, okay, and just turn your layers on and off, and you can see the horizon line and that there. There's not much movement. There's not too bad. I'm pretty happy how that's matched up, to be honest, so that looks pretty good. You would use this if it was a more complex focus stack. I mean, I can do this with layers and masks, probably just as quick, to be honest, but I'll show you that technique as well, and that's probably the way I do most of my focus stacking, unless they're a little bit more complex. Like I mentioned, unless there was something sticking up in the scene, or basically, you know, if we had a branch coming from the bottom or grass that was sticking up past the different focal points or the planes of focus that I'm going to stack together, then I probably would use this automated method. So if I go up here to edit and I go up here to auto blend layers, and we've got this auto blend here, and I just want to stack image, and you can put seamless tones in that, that's fine. And I'm just going to hit stack image here, and Photoshop's going to go through here, and you can see it's created these masks over here. Now if we zoom in and have a bit of a look, you can see we should be sharp front to back, and you can see that was pretty easy. Yeah, you can see the layer masks over there now. You can see what it's done. It's stacked some stuff together. So that's definitely one way to do it if you've got a more complex stack, and really, really simple. And then from there, we can just do our edits in here or save it back into Lightroom and finish off our post-processing. But I'm actually going to undo that now. So first things first, we want to add a layer mask to this layer here. So if I go down here and click the mask button, you can see it's added a layer mask to our top layer, which is our midground and background focus stack. And all we want to do now is go up here to the graduation tool, click that there, and just make sure your brush is on the black. So if it's not, you can hit this little arrow to change it to black and white. If it's some other color, you can actually double click this icon, and that will also change it back to the default colors. You can also hit the X key. So if I hit X, that's going to swap from black and white there, you can see as well. So X key is the shortcut. And then all we want to do is we just want to drag up from the bottom. If we hold the shift key down, it's going to give us a nice straight graduation tool, and it's going to straighten that up. And then you've got this thing here where you can feather how much your graduation is as well. So it's really, really handy little tool. So if we have a look at that mask there now, you can see we've got a nice graduation there. So if I zoom in on this, we should have brought that detail back in the foreground, and we have, and you can see we're sharp all the way through now. We've made that nice change there from that beautiful sharpness that we've got in the foreground to our midground sharpness and background sharpness. And as easy as that, with just a few clicks, we've focus stacked this image, and that's really as easy as it gets. So just to recap, this one, I had my background focus on top and my foreground focus in the foreground. I added a layer mask over here, just a white layer mask to the top layer. I went for the graduation tool, make sure that layer mask there was highlighted, and then just dragged up from the bottom, and I got that lovely graduation there between that sharpness foreground at the bottom. So black is hiding the bottom of this layer, and showing the bottom of this one. You can think of it like that, and the white is hiding the top of this one and showing the top of this layer. So that's how we're getting that nice transition for that focus stack. So here's our final image in Lightroom with a few more tweaks, a bit more contrast, and a little bit of dodging and burning, and I'm really, really happy how that turned out. Such a beautiful image. Something to keep in mind with these type of photographs, when the contrast is soft like this, if you were to push the contrast too far, it starts to make the image a little bit crunchy. And what I mean by that, if I was to go in here and start pushing the contrast up, you can see it makes the sand crunchy, makes it look unnatural. So while you're adding contrast, you want to try and keep the contrast, you know, it's really subtle. That's what I'm trying to say, is keep the contrast nice and soft. So when you're pushing your image, you still want it to be a soft image like it was when you're taken. You don't want it too crazy with your contrast, is what I'm trying to say. All right, good people, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. By the way, I got home before that storm hit me. Hell yeah. So I didn't get wet, didn't get extra cold, but I'll tell you what, it was way worth being out there. That light was amazing, and how epic were those textures. It's just so lovely. Absolutely, absolutely awesome. All right, as always, if you're enjoying these videos, please show me some love. Give me a thumbs up below. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And oh, by the way, stick around to the end, because I've got to show you a couple of extra images that I shot that are pretty cool. I'm pretty happy how they turned out from the drone, actually. So yeah, stick around. They'll be at the end there. And if you're not subscribed, please help me out. Show me some love. Support the channel. Subscribe below. Hit the bell for notifications. My goal is 5K subs, and it's free. You can subscribe for nothing. It doesn't cost anything, and it's just like a follow on other social media channels. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.